Alright, hey guys. So, today, me and my partner will be tackling a really important topic for your IB studies common pool resources. Don't worry, it sounds fancy, but I promise that we'll break it down in a very simple way. So, let's start with this first. Imagine a giant forest, or maybe a lake full of fish. No single person owns it, it's there for everyone to use. That's what we call a common resource. But here's the problem if one person takes too much, then there would be less for everyone else. So, which is why me and my partner will be talking about six things. We'll cover these topics: what common resources are, the tragedy of the commons, what common pool resources mean, how resource can be sustained, so for the future generations to come, a real world example, and maybe some graphs. But since this voice is pretty empty, this room is pretty empty, let's light up the mood, shall we?
So what is common pool resources? So the definition is when common resources are things that everyone can use but they're limited. Like for example, like forests, rivers, and fisheries, or even clean air. No single person owns them, but they're shared by all of us. The key idea here is if one person uses too much, there's less left for everyone else.
Now, here's where the real problem starts. So, imagine a group of farmers sharing a pasture for the animals. Each farmer thinks, if I add more cows, then I'll earn more. But if everyone thinks this way, then the grass will get overgrazed and eventually everything else will get destroyed. This situation is called the tragedy of the common. It's when people acting in their own self-interest and will end up harming the shared resources, and in the end, everyone loses.
So what exactly are common pool resources? So there's two types of common pool resources. So for the first one is non-excludable. So that means it's hard to stop people from using them. And the second one is repolers. So one person reduce what available for others. For example, a simple example is fish in the ocean. You cannot really stop fishermen from going out to the sea, but if too many fish are caught, there will be fewer left for everyone else.
Now, for the good news. Common pool resources can actually be managed sustainably. Communities, governments, and even individuals can set rules to protect them, like fishing quotas, protected forests, or agreement on how much water can be saved or used. Sustainability is about thinking beyond just our needs today. It's about making sure these resources are still here for the needs of the future generations. If we take care of them, they'll continue to support us for years to come.
Alright, so I'll be showing you a graph. Alright, this graph shows what happens when many people share one limited resources. On the bottom axis is how many people, or users basically, just use how much of the resource. On the side axis is the benefit or payoff that people receive. Now at first, when only a few people use the resource, each person gets a high benefit. It looks very attractive, so more and more people decide to use it, of course. From the individual's point of view, it still makes sense to keep using the resources. But the resource itself is limited. As more people join in, the total benefit for everyone starts to level off, and eventually it begins to fall. And the resource can't keep up with unlimited use. And here we reach the maximum sustainable level. At this point, the resource is used in the balance. It can renew itself. Everyone can continue benefiting in the long run. But if people keep pushing beyond this point, the resource is taken faster than it can recover. Each extra user just makes the problem way worse. And finally, the resource collapses. There's not enough left for anyone, so the overall benefit drops sharply. Even though each person was trying to maximize their own gain, in the end, everyone loses. And this is what we call the tragedy of the common. Alright, so I'll be taking a clear real world example of this diagram. It's basically about tuna overfishing in the Pacific Ocean. In 2024, the Washington Post reported that climate change is forcing tuna to migrate away from the fishing grounds near Tuvalu. This means fishermen there catch less tuna. Even though global demand for tuna remains high, the supply curve shifts left from S1 to S2 and then to S3, representing the reduced availability of fishes. So, similarly, Vietnam's tuna exports slowed because of domestic supply shortages and stricter regulations. That also pushes the supply curve left. The result is the same as in our diagram. Less quantity of tuna in the market, higher prices for consumers, and increased scarcity of fish overall.
And thank you for listening to our presentation. Thank you and God bless.